Hello guys, and welcome back to Cage Yourself Says. And Cage Yourself Says, let's talk about it. So today, this is like a part 2 to my first video, which was what to consider when thinking about starting homeschool, something along those lines. This is the part 2 because I shared in that video that we use Abeka. So I wanted to leave my review of Abeka on here as well, just so you guys also, if you're considering, you have this information as well. Once again, before I start speaking, I am not an expert. I don't want anyone to think I am an expert at homeschool. I am just a regular mama, and I thought it would be valuable to have somebody's review and opinion on Abeka that's also dealing with a child that has ADHD. For me personally, sometimes the first piece of advice I'm going to give is sometimes, not advice, critique. Y'all get what I'm saying. The first critique I'm going to give the program is that I will say for a child that's dealing with ADHD, it is a lot of video. It can be very, very long. But in that, like I said, the pro to homeschool is you can make it what you need it to be for your child and your family. We take as many breaks as we need to take. We make it work for us, but sometimes it can feel grueling. Kindergarten was not as long. First grade is crushing us. We're gonna make it through though. I'm not worried about it, but just do not forget that you can make that your own. But for me, that is one of the cons. It's just a lot of sitting for the kids and a lot of videos. Now, mind you, it's great because they teach them a lot of things that they don't teach in public schools anymore, so I love that. So length is one of my cons. Another one of my cons would be, not only is it lengthy, sometimes I just feel like there's a lot of seat work. Now, when you watch Abeka, obviously you'll be able to tell, and I didn't know this until dealing with the program a little longer. They're in an actual classroom in the videos, so the schoolwork I feel like is set around having multiple children in a classroom. So sometimes you're gonna have kids testing and you're gonna need kids to have a lot of seat work so you can get other things in the classroom done. So I feel like when you are doing it, keep that in consideration when trying to get your child to sit through all this work. Break it up if you need to, give less, do some later. That's my advice. I just think that's best. A lot of big schools use Abeka. So the program is structured for large groups of kids. So when you're at home, you have to remember to make it your own. It's gonna be too much. Another con, but I think is at this point, now that I'm in year 2, because I wrote these down during the kindergarten year, a con that I had was it's a little tricky and a bit frustrating to get the hang of everything. Their grading periods are different than traditional schools, but once you catch on, things will develop and there is a flow to things. So yes, it's a con in the sense that it could just be overwhelming initially, but I encourage everybody to stick to it. I'll show you guys. Well, Mace is not here right now, so my dad has all of his schoolwork, or his school books. He's not, which this is what my little area looks like. I have a shelf with all of our work on it, and then behind me is his desk and everything. And if you guys want to see that, I can make a video on that, on how I organize and everything like that. But I have a video that shows this area on our family vlogs channel. The earlier vlogs, you'll see it. So if you want to see our area, you can always go on there too, or I'll make a separate video. You guys let me know. Like I said, go on the Cage Yourself Says Instagram account or the MacFam Nonsense Instagram account and tell me what you guys want to see in here. But back to my point, I keep sidetracking. So yes, a con. It can be a little overwhelming. Stick to it, you can get through it. Another con I had is I wish it came with an actual school supply list. Now, once again, like I said, I wrote this list last year. And when we started homeschool, we started halfway through the school year. So sometimes I was a little confused. I wasn't starting from day 1. But this year, when I went in the books for first grade, I did see a school list. So I could be wrong, but that was a thing. Last year I didn't see it, so I kind of felt like when it was time to do art projects, I didn't have what I needed because I did not know it was necessary. But this year it did come with I do have his art project book. And this is what his first grade art project book looks like. And yes, in the front of this one, it has a yearly supply list. I don't recall whether or not I checked his book last year to see if it had a supply list or not. But that's a con turned pro. They have the supply list, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Now let's go on to the pros. Number one, I love the biblical aspect of the schooling. For those of you that are Christians, that are churchgoers, whatever religion you are, sometimes that time is constricted to Sundays, and I don't really know how to teach it beyond praying and reading the Bible with him sometimes. I also don't know how to translate that into like a kid's message. So I love that he has Bible school and that they memorize verses, and he loves it. Like, no lie, he will go to the barbershop and he'll be telling them Bible stories and explaining it and blowing people away. So I love that. Second thing I love is they learn cursive. You know, most schools, unless your child is attending a private school, most schools are not teaching cursive anymore. And I don't understand it. I don't get it. And I think that that's horrible. Like, our kids should know how to write cursive. You have to have a signature. I don't understand why it's gone. But I love that he learns that in this, and he blows people away all the time with this cursive, because they're like, what? Like, my kids aren't learning that in school. Like, I want them to learn that too. So yeah, that's another incredible aspect of this program. And I mean, they learned it in kindergarten. So he's recognizing and reading those letters now and writing them. So I think that's pretty great. Number three, I loved how reading was broken down. To repeat myself for the millionth time, I wrote these pros and cons down in the kindergarten year. So I really loved how they broke it down in kindergarten. There's nothing wrong with the first grade year, but I think it's important that in kindergarten it's broken down correctly to build their foundation. So I felt like they did it amazingly in the kindergarten year. It just felt like it was easy to follow and easy to understand. And this may sound silly to some people, but as a parent, I don't remember learning how to read. I don't know how to break that down. Like, I just know how to read now. And it was a difficulty for me as a kid. So as a parent, I was really scared to teach my son or to deal with him learning how to read. There is so many phonetic rules, and you want to make sure you're not teaching it wrong, because everything you give them sticks into their brain, so you want it to be right from the beginning. So I think Abeka does a great job at breaking down reading, teaching them the rules, their readers. I think the program is amazing, and I mean, they really do a great job of breaking it down in kindergarten, and when you get to first grade, they really hammer in letters and sounds, language, phonetics, writing, blends. They just do a great job of teaching them not only how to read, but why they read it this way, what it's called, and the rules for that. So I think that is worth the money right there. Another thing that I found to be a pro was the classroom setting. Now, I don't know how common it is for homeschool programs to have videos that are in a classroom setting, but I think that it was really cool that he could feel like he was in the classroom and he's getting called on and he's interacting from right here at home. And he jumps up and he's singing and he's laughing and he's playing the games, and that's all happening from home. He feels like he's a part of a classroom setting. And I think that that's awesome. It's important because he's also watching those kids and how they are in class. So when we're ready to transition him back into a regular school setting, it's not that far off. You know, it's still going to be different. It's still going to be hard. He's not going to have the one-on-one that he had at home, but he knows what it looks like and he knows what should happen in a classroom. Another pro is I love that they called on him and interacted with him and encouraged him. It wasn't like he was just watching a video of kids in the classroom and he was never pulled into the video. They found ways to integrate the children watching. Okay, this is from kindergarten. We haven't got, I know that this year he has health, safety, and manners, so we'll be talking about that in his first grade year. But in kindergarten, he had a class called Think and Learn, and I loved it because it talked about hygiene, it talked about manners, it talked about behavior, and they matched pictures and they did routines of how things should happen. I felt like it was so important, and I know public schools are limited to the time and what they could do in classroom, and their resources are very limited. but it was so nice to have a class where they just talked about how you're supposed to act as a human being, you know, how you comb your hair, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, you have manners, you be polite when someone's on the phone. And you know, they're learning about God as well, so they're incorporating that into how you should move about the world as a human. It just was a great class, and I love that about the Abeka program. On the customer service program side, I love their customer service. Anytime I had any questions, I mean email, payments, grades, report cards, there will be a time where your kids have to call in and read books that they're assigned to read. Like these are his readers for this year. They look different for kindergarten, but they have to call in and read. And if I had questions about that, someone helped me. If I had questions about falling behind with work, I mean, they are amazing and they are so helpful. I have never not been helped when I've spoken. I also like that they do have payment programs. So if you're not able to afford to pay for this program up front, you can do a payment plan. And I encourage those people that really do need homeschool for the long haul or a small amount of time, just use a payment plan. And I believe they have like a 6-month payment plan and a 10-month payment plan, and they're pretty decent. You can budget that for a little while. Like it's doable, and I really appreciated having that choice. And that's it. I am super pleased with it. Like I said, these pros and cons are from kindergarten. With first grade, like my con is still the same. It's just a lot of work, but just remember that you can break it down how you need to break it down and prep your days before school starts. That way that it's a lot easier to manage the work and break it down how you need to break it down and plan things to get you guys outside of the house. So once again, guys, thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed these videos thus far, please, please, please subscribe, share, comment, and like, and help me grow this family, and we'll keep on sharing and growing. Hit that notification bell so you guys are notified when I have more videos going out. Remember, we're gonna be doing all kinds of stuff on this channel. Fun stuff, serious stuff. So thank you for watching. See you all later.